Now, Gears of War Judgement is often seen as the black sheep of the Gears franchise, a game that was released after arguably one of the best gaming trilogies of all time, but failed to recapture the same magic. The game, of course, had many flaws and died out quickly. However, Gears Judgement also had its positives that really do go under the radar. So as always, I'm your host Abz, and here is the underrated lore of Gears of War Judgement. Gears Judgement decided to paint its narrative around the early events of the Locust War, to be precise, the destruction of the city of Halvor Bay. A story about the sarcastic arsehole known as Damon Baird and his squad, since we never knew much about Baird's past from the original games, as well as Baird being a fan favourite alongside other members of Delta Squad, so it made for a reasonable choice. We also see the appearance of Gustus Cole, the Coal Train, where we witness some of his very early days in the COG as a newly enlisted gear. The story revolves around Kilo Squad disobeying orders to deploy a lightmass missile to stop the mighty General Khan and his forces, and are put on trial for various crimes by Colonel Ezra Loomis. The squad are given the chance to explain their actions, and so we get to see the different characters of Kilo Squad. The two new characters introduced are Garen Paddock and Sophia Hendrick. They are unique characters with different personalities, but also represent the UIR and Onyx Guard respectively, which brings a whole different perspective to the story. Garen Paddock represents the UIR and Groznyj, someone who joined the COG through the Open Arms program to get revenge on the Locust for the bloodshed of his Groznyj people, but he despised the COG and he despised men like Colonel Ezra Loomis. While Sophia Hendrick represented the elite Onyx Guard unit, she was a known trainee and a graduate of the Onyx Guard Academy, but she was formerly a media correspondent for the COG during the Pendulum Wars. The Onyx Guard Academy also housed specific labs where professors and trainees would test and design new equipment and weapons for the COG. Sophia had a by-the-book attitude. She was assigned to ensure that Garen Paddock did not steal any COG military technology, but she ended up helping him anyway, out of a desire to get revenge on General Khan for slaughtering her friends in the Onyx Guard. Now, there was also the introduction of Colonel Ezra Pound Loomis, a brave but somewhat irrational gear officer. After Emergence Day, Loomis struggled to deal with fighting the Locust, as he was unable to adjust his tactics to fight the Locust Horde, different to how he fought the UIR in the Pendulum Wars. Loomis was a Pendulum War veteran, where he climbed up the ranks, and during the events of Gears Judgement, he is a colonel in the elite Onyx Guard. Loomis and Paddock shared the same resentment towards one another, with Loomis stating that he would shake General Khan's hand for killing the worthless Indies of Groznyj. But eventually, after Khan was killed, Loomis attempted to shake Paddock's hand to thank him for saving his life in the courtroom when it was breached earlier, but Paddock refused to shake his hand. Having lived his whole life in the military, Loomis was unconcerned with the lives of civilians, and he was dedicated to doing things completely by the book, with complete dedication to the values of the COG. Despite his rigid and uncompromising nature, Loomis was a brave gear with an unshakable demeanour. This bravery was acknowledged even by those who disliked him, and earned him the title of Hero of Halvor Bay, following his death, defending the city after the events of Gears Judgement. However, his rigid principles made him a highly inflexible and irrational officer, as he refused to postpone Kilo Squad's trial, while the Locusts were literally attacking them right outside their doors, much to his Onyx Guard's disdain. This resulted in many of his own soldiers being killed. Moving away from the COG, we of course had the Locust Horde in Gears Judgement, but leading them was a different sort of threat and challenge for the Gears. A Locust that was unlike Ram or Scourge. This was General Khan, a Locust known for brain rather than brawn. He was considered a master planner and a superb commander when it came to leading the charge on the battlefield. Khan had weak physical attributes, but this didn't matter, as he had his personal mount, which was the mighty creature known as the Shibboleth, that shared a bond with General Khan. Together, they were a force to be reckoned with. Alongside General Khan and the returning Locust, like the Cantus, the drones, the boomers and so on. We saw the introduction of the Locust Ragers, which, as their name suggests, could metamorphose into a monstrous form, bursting into animalistic fury on anyone in their way, presenting a new challenge on the battlefield, but also showcasing another Locust variant that was present in the early Locust War, but died off before the events of the very first Gears of War game, which was set 14 years after the Locust War began. Ultimately, even though Gears of War Judgement had its flaws, it did present new ways to share some light on factions and perspectives that weren't previously really touched upon, along with creating another unique Locust general and a colonel that was an antagonist in his own right as well. And so that, I believe, is the underrated lore of Gears of War Judgement. Drop a like if you enjoyed this lore video, subscribe for more similar content like this, and I'll leave a link at the top right of the screen if you want to watch my other lore videos as well. I'm your host Abz, and as always, I will catch you guys next time.